The capacity for profound thought is a real gift bestowed upon humanity. But what happens when this extraordinary talent is used against us? What happens when the capacity for in-depth thought morphs into an endless loop of overthinking? Today, we will attempt to comprehend overthinking as a diversion of a genuinely unique human property, and how to overcome it as soon as it is physically able to do so. Let's get a grasp on this, shall we? When does regular thinking turn into overthinking? It occurs when you can't seem to stop worrying and thinking so much that you can't make a choice or do anything, and that's never a good thing. What is overthinking? It implies thinking about something too much or for too long. When does regular thinking turn into overthinking? When you can't seem to stop worrying and thinking so much that you can't make a decision or do anything. Moreover, overthinking is not just thinking too much. It is also thinking ineffectively, excessively, and detrimentally. Overthinking is a sickness of the contemporary period. It is a distortion of our naturally occurring capacity to think. Consider and comprehend that thinking is a natural human activity, but that allowing our ideas to dominate us is overthinking. Why worry about overthinking anyway? Many individuals fail to acknowledge that excessive thinking is a problem, despite the fact that it is a very significant one. When you think too much about a problem or a decision, you might become overwhelmed by all the potential outcomes and options, making it difficult to choose a course of action. This can paralyze your thinking, and when you constantly think about a situation, it can be a significant source of stress and anxiety. Overthinking can lead to indecision and inaction. When you think too much about a problem or a decision, you might become overwhelmed by all the potential outcomes and options, both focusing on the negative effects of events and worrying about everything that may go wrong, have the potential to contribute to a variety of mental and emotional health problems. If you give too much thought to your interactions with others, whether they be friends, family, or co-workers, it may have a negative impact on those relationships. For instance, you can misread something that someone said and then obsess over it, which might lead to unneeded tension or conflict. Continuously overthinking everything can rob you of the joy and spontaneity in life and hinder your ability to be present and engaged. Simply put, overthinking usually consumes a lot of time without providing any additional benefit. Those hours might be better spent engaging in constructive activities or relaxing. So how do I actually stop overthinking at the earliest? You cannot control everything. If you overthink and want to stop, the first step is to realize that you can't control everything. This means you can't control other people, how they feel, what happens around you, what has happened in the past, or what will happen in the future. Understanding that you can't control everything should be the first thing you focus on, and you should remind yourself of this every day. We often try to control everything and keep thinking about it over and over, which can hurt our mental peace. If you stop and keep telling yourself that you can't control everything, it will make you feel much better. Recognize and accept that to defeat the enemy, you must know that overthinking isn't just thinking too much. It's thinking too much about the wrong things. It's a cycle that perpetuates your anxieties, vulnerabilities, and uncertainties, and you have to admit to yourself that you're engaging in it. Simply acknowledging that there is an issue at hand is a significant step towards finding a solution. It is analogous to switching on a light in a dark room, shedding light on things that were previously obscured and restoring your ability to view things as they really are. Music. Therefore, you should ask yourself whether you ever find yourself lying awake at night, thinking about every word of a discussion. If you spend hours thinking over basic choices, turning them over and over in your mind until they become monumental jobs. Or if you find yourself lying awake at night, thinking about every word of a conversation. If you are aware of and willing to accept this, then just being here demonstrates that you are already courageously taking the first step, recognizing that there is a need for change. You see, friends, by identifying that you overthink, you give yourself permission to handle it. Recognizing and embracing overthinking does not imply condemning oneself. Rather, it means realizing that it is a part of our human nature and something that can be noticed, understood, and finally managed. Start recording your ideas in a diary. If you write down the things that are upsetting you, you'll be able to recognize patterns, accept those patterns, and be ready to overcome those patterns. If you regularly allow other people to offer you their ideas, your mind might become cluttered like a trash can full of superfluous stuff if you let them. However, your mind is not a trash can. If you keep putting everything into your head, it will get exhausted, and then your body will feel fatigued all day. It's that easy. If you don't listen to everything you hear and think about it all the time, you won't have to worry about it. You can keep thinking about such things all night and end up not sleeping well if you continue to put too much information or opinion in your head. How can you prevent this when you feel overwhelmed by the thoughts of other people? If it doesn't benefit you in any way, try to ignore it and focus on something else. Since each of us only has one life, we shouldn't allow other people's unhelpful ideas to govern it. Ask yourself this question: does it offer any value to me? If the answer is no, attempt to ignore it and concentrate on something else. Imagine that you've been given the responsibility of leading a new project at work. As the deadline approaches, a thought creeps into your mind saying, "I'm not qualified for this. I'm going to fail, and everyone will know I'm not reliable." This thought is powerful and can easily spiral into overthinking, causing stress and panic. However, let's challenge it by asking ourselves, is this thought true? What evidence supports it? Have you ever failed before? Or is this fear based on, it is quite possible that you were selected for this duty as a result of your abilities and previous successes? Your previous achievements are a proven reality that you cannot deny. Put the thought on trial and cross-examine it. Demand evidence, and you'll often discover that your fear of failing is not based on reality, but rather on unfounded anxiety. It's possible that your mind is playing tricks on you, turning a simple challenge into an insurmountable obstacle. Now reject this erroneous thought and replace it with a positive affirmation. I am powerful, I am competent, and I am in charge. I have been successful in the past, and I can be successful once more. Accept this reality and allow it to direct you as you go on with the project. Dividing up your time between thinking and doing things is important. Take into consideration the shrewd choice. An experienced chess player understands that while planning and strategy are important, there comes a point where they must make a move. They allocate a specific time to think, assess the board, anticipate their opponent's moves, and then act. They don't linger in indecision. Knowing that the game's flow depends on timely decisions, they move forward. They move. In the same way, you need to learn to establish boundaries in your life between the time you spend thinking and the time you spend acting. You should give yourself a certain amount of time to think about the choices you will make, whether it's selecting a direction for your profession, determining how to address a personal difficulty, or making a large purchase. Allow yourself the space to think about what you want to do. Consider all of the possibilities. When the time is up, move forward with the best decision you've made at that moment. Embrace it, commit to it, and act upon it. Remember, No decision is set in stone. Life is a constant flow of choices and changes. Even if you realize later that you could have made a different decision, it's the learning from that choice that enriches your life experience. There is tremendous value in moving forward, making misty decisions. There is tremendous learning and development rather than being lost in endless loops of overthinking. Be here now. The present is all that we actually have. It's where life unfolds, where joy is felt, and where connections are established. Yet how often do you genuinely feel the present, unadulterated by the noise of your thoughts? The practice of mindfulness entails focusing one's attention on the here and now while suspending all forms of judgment. It is not about closing ourselves off from the outside world or running away from our obligations. Rather, it is about throwing oneself wholeheartedly into the experience that is happening right now. Consider, for example, a simple act like eating a meal. Often we eat while distracted, thinking about our next meeting or replaying a conversation in our heads. However, what if instead we took the time to truly savor the food, appreciating its texture, flavor, and nourishment, such as the feeling of the wind against your skin, the taste of your morning coffee, or the sound of the laughter of a loved one? The practice of mindfulness may turn even the most routine activity into a precious moment of connection and happiness. It doesn't require hours of meditation or a drastic change in lifestyle. All it requires is a conscious decision to be fully engaged with the present moment. I hope you can overcome overthinking soon by practicing what I've shared. I pray that this video will bring some light into your life.